Notre Dame brought the thunderstorms and the bad weather with them again to Raleigh, but this time they were able to escape with a 45-24 victory against the NC State Wolfpack. They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wolfpack, free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's Monday episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more right now with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get up to $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Happy Monday to all. We are essentially picking up the pieces from what turned out to be a great game for 3 quarters on Saturday before, sadly, the wheels fell off. As always, I'm Grayson Boone. Joining me is Kenton Gibbs. And kind of administrative things before we get going here. Post Saturday football games, Mondays will be kind of a big picture recap of the game that we experienced. So Monday will be big picture. Tuesday will be more kind of in-depth analysis. Of course, we'll cover that more so tomorrow. But Kenton, the game on Saturday against number 10 Notre Dame, a couple things before we get into kind of the first half here. I want to talk about the atmosphere. I was there. I was in the crowd. It was everything it needed to be, especially for a noon game. The fans brought it. The production with the new screen, the sound system, the intro video, it was electric. You could feel the bass from any seat in the house. It was incredible. I thought the energy in the first couple drives there, the defense, where you could see them feeding off of it. The defense came to play. The offense struggled out of the gate. We're going to touch on that in just a second. But overall, the atmosphere was there. It's just the ending was not cool.
Well, first of all, you said a happy Monday, and I wish it was a happy Monday. I really do. Boy, I'll tell you what, this here was a game where some people would say, oh, well, the delays and all that, the fans couldn't come back or whatever. Not about the fans. It's about the guys on the field. It's about the guys on the field, and they didn't get it done. And this is year 10 for Doran. He's beyond the moral victory stage of this ball game. He's beyond it.
Yeah.
There are no more moral victories. There are no more. We played them close for a while. We hung tough for a while. We took a 21-point L. And at the end of the day, it's not about, well, the game was closer than the score indicates. Yeah, sure. So what? It happened. It happened. You got housed. You got housed. The Irish came into our trap, took over our trap, and went back to Notre Dame happily. If we were playing Madden, they would have made you pass the sticks. Those are house rules. You get a 21-point deficit, it's over. That's it. That's all.
Yeah,
so
the most frustrating part about this, and because, like you said, Kenton, there are no moral victories. So playing almost good enough is not good enough. And playing good for 3 quarters against one of the top teams in the country, it was entertaining until it wasn't. And we got our doors blown off there in the 4th quarter. So it's super frustrating because you saw that we could have turned that corner if we did not beat ourselves in some of the most crucial moments of that game. But now let's dive right into this. Just big picture first half recaps here. I'll start with Brennan Armstrong. He looked terrible. Out of the gate, he looked terrible. A lot of the throws was not setting his feet, and because of which some throws were sailing, some were offline, some were virtually spiked into the ground. Just not much of anything was able to be generated offensively. You played the first quarter. Of course, you went into the delay. We won't touch too much on that, but the defense, I thought, looked excellent in the first quarter. They came out, and Notre Dame looked a little bit stunned by the pressure that we were able to get on Hartman so early. We even had a forced fumble, lucky enough to fall back on top of. But I was pleased early on with the pressure we could get on Hartman. The secondary looked pretty stout as well. The delay came, and of course, The first play out of the delay was Estime to the house, was it 80 yards?
Yeah,
Just
80
an
yard run.
immediate backbreaker. And it was tough because some of the crowd had not made it back in yet, but it was so deflating because at that point, was it 3-0 still?
Yeah, it was 3-0.
Still just a 3-0 game, still trying to get something going. It was a backbreaker. And, the offense, like I mentioned with Armstrong, didn't really get anything going until the last 2 minutes of the second quarter.
Yeah. But I also want to touch on that for a second because, and I've told y'all before, yeah, Doran was the guy that recruited me and all that good stuff. And yeah, good on him. Hey, I was excited to play here, all that good stuff. I'm not scared to be critical of our coaches, and especially Doran. And Doran, his clock management at the end of the first half was just so abysmal.
It had a lot left to be desired. I agree with you.
Marcus Freeman did exactly what needed to be done. When it looked like NC State got in the scoring position and it looked like we were about to head into the end zone, what happened? He's using his timeouts effectively and efficiently to make sure that they had some time. And yes, there were lapses by our defense. Absolutely. Anytime you allow an offense to score in 38 seconds flat, I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, that's on Coach Doran. No. However, with that being said, the 80-yard run, we had already seen that as a problem for this team. We had already seen that as a problem for this team. And so I talked last week about, hey, we cannot allow for big plays like that to hit. We need to be in our gap so that, if they get 5-6 yards, hey, they go get that, but they got to do it every time. They just got 80 in one chunk. They don't have to do it right again and again and again because somebody got out of their gap and the ball found it. And I want to say this. For all the speed that I heard about with this defense, for all hey, this is the fastest defense we've ever seen. We got guys rolling. I'm not seeing it.
Some of the speed I have seen has been because they haven't had to chase somebody down from scoring a 75-yard touchdown.
And even then, we're not winning that chase. Yeah. We're not chasing them. So with that being said, I think that the first half was, the defense played well for the most part outside of really if you really want to be honest, two big plays, right? The pass play to Tyree and the Estime 80-yarder. Played great. Played phenomenal. Sure. But the reality is those two plays exist.
Yeah, I mean.
And again, we're in year 10. In 2013, when I was there, I can understand saying, hey, they played great outside these two plays. Year 10, you're no longer round peg and square hole. You're no longer, we don't know what our identity is. Year 10, those 80-yarders cannot happen. You cannot have back-to-back weeks of allowing 70-plus yard runs. Unacceptable.
So you had the Estime run to put them up 10-0. Then you saw flashes of the Armstrong we've kind of been waiting for. He started to set his feet more. All of a sudden, we're completing passes down the field. Seemed like a point A to point B type deal. It's like, well, why don't we just do this every drive? Why are we scrambling around, immediately getting out of the pocket and just looking like a mess? But he started to set his feet, started to look more comfortable in the pocket. He was delivering strikes down the field. Of course, I believe that was the drive that Notre Dame had helped us a lot. With several penalties there.
Yeah.
But we were able to capitalize with that touchdown pass to Bradley Rosner. But like you just mentioned, Kenton, the clock management by Marcus Freeman was a clinic because he saved his team just enough time to deliver another back-breaking touchdown right before halftime. That was, of course, highlighted by that 65-yard pass to Tyree down the sideline. Can't have that, especially not right before half. When we're due to get the ball back, we just built a little bit of momentum scoring there before half and just immediately handed it back to Notre Dame. The second touchdown put them up 17-7 at halftime. 10-7 would have been a whole lot more comfortable and just let one get away. Another big back-breaking play there before half, and it killed us. It absolutely killed us. The momentum we had built slipped away. It's just so many points in this game. And I think you even tweeted this, Kenton. It's like every time we get within striking distance, the defense would just fold like origami. And it felt like a little bit of a seesaw. The defense would show up, the offense would be quiet. The offense would show up, the defense would blow it. And it was just all game long until eventually it snapped. But we're going to touch on the second half here in just 1 second after a word from our sponsor today. Now time for your Game Changer of the Week, brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed the non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning, and they beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft, non-alcoholic beer, including IPAs, Goldens, Sours, and more. They're constantly releasing limited edition experimental styles to their variety as well. They're fit for all times, whether you're going to a tailgate, having a watch party with friends, they're perfect for any situation. They're the fastest growing non-alcoholic brewery in the U.S., so get on board before they blow up before your eyes. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. That's LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, at checkout for 15% off athleticbrewing.com. Athletic Brewing Company, fit for all times. All right, now diving back into this second half synopsis. And Kenton, you and I were talking a little bit about this before we matched the record button here. It was almost amazing that we were able to keep it a one-score game all the way down to the very beginning of the fourth quarter. Of course, we kind of came out after half. We received ball first, didn't get much of anything going, but we were still able to limit Notre Dame from pulling away from us. And, you know, in addition to that, you had Hartman being pressured. I really, you know, Hartman ended up having a pretty good game. His numbers are going to look great on paper. But, you know, we talked about last week not being afraid of Sam Hartman, not believing that he would be the reason that Notre Dame had pulled away. He had a good game, but I still maintain I don't think it was Hartman that completely took the game over and beat us. I think a lot of this was self-inflicted. You know, much of this was missing assignments and these long broken down plays that would go for 65, 70 yards at a point that would really kill us if something like that went down.
There are three things that go into football, especially defense. The first one, alignment. The second one, assignment. The third one, go make a play. They happen in that order for a reason. Right. Why am I saying that? If you are not aligned properly, are you probably going to be in position to make a play? If your job is to check the outside receiver and you're lined up over the tight end, is there a chance that you're going to do that if the tight end is lined up in line? No. Because why? You are misaligned. Now, I know that that's an extreme example. However, the example, or not the example, but the reality that we saw from NC State a lot was we were scrambling around like chickens with our heads cut off pre-snap defensively. Now, people are saying, hey, this is the first time that we have allowed 30 points in over a year. And, you know, the last time we did it was against Sam Hartman and all that. Hey, listen, credit to Sam Hartman. Credit to Sam Hartman. Hitting open guys is not an easy thing to do. A lot of college quarterbacks, exactly. A lot of college quarterbacks can't do that. Credit to Sam Hartman. With that being said, there were multiple points where we were not prepared, did not do what we needed to do. And Notre Dame's play caller is a repeat play caller based on success. That is documented in his history. That is, it's there. You can see it at every stop that he's been. And so for them to run the play action Y banana, fullback to the flat, and score a 40-yarder with it, and then run it again and get down to the goal line with it, it boggles the mind. Because again, we talked about this off air. This is why alignment, assignment, make a play in that order is so important. If you are misaligned and the team runs a 2-3 exchange, what happens? So for those of you, I know I'm talking a lot of ball terms and I'm talking fast. So this one I'll break down for you. As a defense, you count your numbers from the outside in. So the outside receiver is 1. The second receiver to the inside is 2, be it a slot, be it a tight end, be it an offset fullback, be it a fullback or running back in an out formation. If they're the second person coming that way, they are 2. The third person, 3, is obviously the next person inside, and that is fairly common. So when I'm talking about a 2-3 exchange, if they're lined up in a formation, and actually now that I think about it, it wasn't even a 2-3 exchange, it was a 1-2 exchange. If they're lined up in a formation to where they motion a receiver across, okay? and then they go play action. The tight end is getting the corner route, and you have the fullback hitting the flat, and maybe a wide receiver from the other side going deep as well, just crossing the field in somewhat of a post crosser type of blend. What you just had happen was when that play action happened, now you've influenced guys' eyes, because if that tight end is going vertical, the next man or the man who was supposed to have the tight end generally is thinking, okay, I need to get deep and stay with him. The second man needs to go get that fullback. That's what needs to go happen, unless you're in zone, in which case, depending on the zone, you're switching them off. You're switching them, saying, hey, this guy's coming into my zone, this guy's going into yours. That's what should happen. That's what should happen when we're motioning guys across. When they're motioning guys across the formation, and Aiden isn't going with them, he's just backing up. That to me means, okay, we're either in zone, or if we're in man, we're okay with switching that, because we now have given Aiden a one-on-one with the tight end instead of running him with the receiver. If we're not aligned properly, which, by the way, this is not coming from Kensington. Tony Gibson said, get lined up and play football. We're running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So that means when you are misaligned, now you're already out of position to be checking the man you're supposed to check. So when that 1 or 2 or 2-3 exchange happens, what just happened? Where am I supposed to be? And boom, somebody's wide open behind you. Disappointing game, disappointing result. I'm okay with Notre Dame beating us in terms of if they're just that physical and we just cannot take it. If Sam Hartman had just made every pass needed to be perfectly in the bucket, windows this big, and he's just crushing it, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. I'm not all right with multiple busted coverages. I'm not all right with multiple misalignments causing huge play. That I'm not okay with. And nor should NC State be. Nor should Tony Gibson be, nor should Aiden White be, none of them should be okay with that.
It's exactly what we were saying last week. If Notre Dame comes in and, on paper, they are the better team. If they come in, they look like the better team, they play like the better team, well, then the better team won. But what the most frustrating point of this is that, they are the better team, ultimately proved they were the better team, but we had ample opportunity to then prove otherwise, and then we consistently beat ourselves, whether it was blown coverage or overrunning a gap. Kenton, you mentioned the Notre Dame tight end Holden Stays going for 40-some yards down the sideline. Yeah. That was also highlighted by a lazy tackling effort. I believe it was Bishop Fitzgerald. Instead of making a better effort to tackle or even get him out of bounds, just pushed the guy, Stays on the run, pushed him to get him out of bounds. Listen, he's a 6'4", 6'5" tight end. A push ain't going to do nothing to him. And that's exactly what you saw. Stayed in bounds and made it all the way down to the house. So it's just those small lapses of being undisciplined or just not locking in the way you should. It takes a mistake that small, and they're going 40 yards to the house.
And let's not forget offensively, our receivers. Again,
I was about to get in that in just a second.
It's not like, and again, we talked to Woj from Locked On Irish. It's not like that. He said their corners were the special part. The interceptions that they had, let's talk about them. Brennan Armstrong threw 3. One of them was to a safety. Another one was to a corner. We threw a 50-50 ball to 5'11" Keon Lassane. Great idea. Love it. Absolutely love it. The next one, the third interception, was a drop by a receiver. It bounced off KC's hands and went straight to, I believe that one was to a safety as well. So the reality is the drops, even when Brendan was good and putting it somewhere near guys, we're dropping the football. Okay. Well, again, if Notre Dame and those fifth-year linebackers are flying everywhere, they own everything, there's nothing you can do. You live with that. You tip your cap and say, hey, the boys in the golden helmets were better than us today. They did what they needed to do. And I would live with that. I wouldn't be upset with this team. I would be upset with the result, but I say they went out there and gave everything they had. They left it all on the field. They did what they were supposed to do. A team that was just, and let me say this. I predicted Notre Dame to be a playoff team this year. So, I know that Notre Dame fans want to come and get their victory lap and all that, but I predicted this team to be very good this year. The reality is we shot ourselves in the foot multiple times, and you expect to be the top 10 team like that?
Ain't going to happen.
Okay, good for you.
I mean, listen, again, no moral victories here, but Notre Dame, they're ranked 10. They are a top 10 team. They played like a top 10 team. We didn't. We're not a top 10 team. At the end of this game, we did not deserve to win. We handed back all the opportunities that Notre Dame tried to give us. And, many of these games are kind of highlighted by more or less a handful of plays. And those came the very end of the third quarter into the beginning of the fourth quarter. Of course, I'm talking about we forced Sam Hartman into a fumble. That was Brandon Cleveland. It was an excellent play by Cleveland, picked up by Noah Potter. We were deep in Notre Dame territory. I think it was a false start, was the first play of that drive. Couldn't get anything going, missed the field goal. You could feel the wind just go completely out of the sails after that.
After that missed field goal, we forced another 3-and-out defensively.
Yeah.
What did we do the next drive?
That was the deflection. Yeah.
Interception. Come on, man. Come on.
And from that point on, that was essentially when we were dead in the water.
And
missed the field goal, turned the ball over again, and that was all you needed to give Notre Dame to then put you away.
And everybody kept saying that missed field goal was the turning point. No, it wasn't. It was the interception after that, because that gave them a 33-yard field. That's all they had to get to score a touchdown. That's it. That's all. I'm not joking about this. I'm not, trying to denigrate Notre Dame or anything like that. Notre Dame gave us multiple opportunities.
Yeah.
They gave us multiple opportunities to win this ball game. And again, I'm okay if KC is smothered to the point where, hey, man, it was a tight window. That was an incredibly tough catch. You live with him. That wasn't the case. It was a hot read, which Brennan Armstrong correctly made. Boom, right out of his hands, right to KC. KC wasn't ready for the ball. Because, again, a freshman is not thinking the blitz is on right away. I need to be looking up for the ball because it may be coming my way. And boom, bounces off his hands, interception.
Blew the momentum that Notre Dame tried to hand to us. And then after that, it was essentially all she wrote. So we're going to review Kenton's keys here, look back on how those fared after a quick word from our sponsors. Today's second sponsor of the day is FanDuel. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So, now's the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, the official partner of the. All right, so wrapping up this Monday big picture episode, we want to walk it back to Kenton's keys that we discussed on Friday, comparing how the game went versus what we needed to happen in order to pull off the upset. So Kenton, we'll start with the offense. Walk us back to what we discussed on Friday, our 3 offensive keys and how they fared.
Before we do, I want to remind our listeners and viewers of one thing, okay? We've never lost a game when beating Kenton's keys. When we complete those, we've never lost. We have won games despite not getting them, but we have never lost a game where we got 4 or more. So just keep that in mind here. Less than 3 sacks. Brennan Armstrong was only sacked once. We accomplished that. The second, get Michael Allen the ball, 12 touches plus. Michael Allen got 1 carry and was targeted once.
Yeah.
What did he say and who did he say it to?
There had to have been a blown assignment or something that was so bad that he couldn't get back in the game.
Do I need to call him Mr. Allen? Is that bad? Mr. Allen, go apologize for whatever you've done. Coach Anae, whatever he did, let it go, brother. Let it go. Because do you know who our leading rusher was this game?
Was it Armstrong again?
It was. He was tied for our leading rusher. Do you know who he was tied for our leading rusher with?
Was it Houston?
Jordan Houston.
Okay.
You know, Michael Allen only touched the ball once. 4 yards.
Ain't gonna do it.
4 yards. So even in this moment where he's not touching the ball, where everybody's telling me he doesn't know how to pass protect. Well, I'm sorry. I saw the interceptions like you did. Now, Grayson, please tell me how many of those interceptions came because of pressure that was on Brennan Armstrong?
Maybe what, 1?
I disagree. I'd say 0.
Really?
I'd say 0. The 50-50 ball to Keon Lassane. The pocket was clean as a whistle. The second interception to KC, the pressure was, it was a blitz. It was a blitz, but he got rid of the ball early. It wasn't like, hey, if there had been a back end to block, if there had been a better blocking back end, he wouldn't have thrown that interception. That wasn't on Brennan Armstrong, but it also wasn't on, hey, there was a lack of protection. They bought one more than you can block. That's always going to be a reality that defenses can do. They bought one more than you can block. So what? The third interception, the pocket was clean.
Just forced the throw. Yeah.
So if pass protection is the question, then I don't need to see no more damn interceptions when the pocket's clean.
Right.
Get this man the ball. Get him the ball. He needs the ball, period. Moving on to defense and special teams. So our keys for our defensive keys, you know, we allowed 45 points. We didn't pass a single key. What a shocker. Are you shocked? Don't be shocked. For those of you who are on TikTok, you understand that sound. For those of you who aren't, look it up. Anyway, the first key was bend but don't break. No rushes over 20 yards. Grayson, do you think there was one over 20?
There might have been one that went for 80 yards. I think we broke multiple times.
Interesting. And here's the second key. So obviously we didn't accomplish that one. The second key, average less than 4.5 yards per carry. Do you know how much they average per carry? Exactly 4.6. And that's including an 80-yard run.
Really? So think about that. Think about that for a second. You cut out that 80-yard run. Kenton, do you know how many yards they rushed for without that?
I believe it would have been 90.
Yeah.
90? Yeah.
90 yards against the physical run game that Notre Dame was said to have. I think that would have been outstanding.
On what, 36 carries? 30,
yeah,
36
that would have been outstanding defense.
But again, what are we looking at? No alignment. You're misaligned. You blow the assignment. And then all of a sudden, we're looking at the back of a helmet.
Yeah.
And the last one was create 2+ turnovers. We created 1.
Yep.
1 turnover. And with that 1 turnover, we were in super plus territory and did nothing with it.
And blew the momentum right there.
These are things that we have to do to win ball games. That is why it is so rare to see this team not accomplish the keys and still win the ball game. I watched the film. I know who we are, and I base it off that. So long story short, we go 2 of 4 against the keys, and we give up a 21-point loss.
The chances were there. The opportunity that Notre Dame was giving us to get in and stay in this game was there. And just time after time again, blown coverage, blown assignment, defense breaks their back on an 80-yard play, 75-yard play, whatever it was. Just killed us at the inopportune time. Notre Dame tried to keep us in the game. We repeatedly said, no, thanks. We're going to be working on some stuff in practice next week. So again, it's frustrating.
And I'm not going to take this off the players. It is mostly on execution, but also some of our coaching decisions were atrocious. They were atrocious. There is not a world in which you can tell me that Michael Allen does not deserve the ball more, period. There isn't. Reality is, regardless of what your role is, how limited it is, if you come in and every time you touch the ball, we're looking at 6-7 yards a carry, even against Notre Dame, he had our highest yards per carry of any back. This man needs the ball. I don't know what he did or who he did it to, but they need to kiss and make up real quick, because this is nonsensical. We're playing with ourselves in a way that it should not happen like this. Yeah. You should not be sitting players that are vital to a weakness on your team. He can't pass block well. Well, is he fumbling the ball every play in practice or something? Let me read to you our yards per carry from all of our running backs. Jordan Houston, 3.7. Delbert Mims, 2.3. Kendrick Raphael, 2.3. Michael Allen, 4. I'm not saying that he was some world beater in this game with the one carry he got, but even in that one carry, he did more than everybody else. It's a shame. It's a shame. I don't know what's going on here, but this needs to be addressed because this is unserious behavior that causes losses. You have a guy that is explosive with the ball in his hands. I don't care if he has hands of stone and cannot pass protect. Well, that limits our options with him in the game. Good. Don't care. If that limited option can still perform better than everybody else, if the playbook can extend with Jordan Houston in the game, and yet he doesn't do things that give you the best chance of getting yardage, then what does it matter?
Right.
What does it matter? What does it matter if Kendrick Raphael gives you the widest playbook in the world if brother can't do what the other guy can? The other guy needs the ball.
Yeah.
And yet we're sitting here playing around. Well, he can't block. Well, again, I don't know what the situation is. I don't know who. And again, I know when you look at things like this, there's something behind the scenes going on that's like, all right, there's something here. But whatever that something is, figure it out. We can't live with Brennan as our leading rusher. That can't be the story of this team.
No.
We can't live with, our top 2 rushers combining for 50 yards. We can't live like that. We don't have that prolific of a passing game to live in that manner and be okay. We just don't.
Right. It makes us one-dimensional, and that one dimension hasn't looked that great either. So, yeah, chew on that for a minute. But that's going to do it for us here for our Big Picture Monday episode. Of course, a lot of this conversation will spill into the Tuesday episode as we go more in-depth with covering both the offense and the defense from the Notre Dame game. But until then, that will do it for us here on Monday. Be sure to mash that like button. Drop your comments in, whatever you feel is big picture takeaways from the Notre Dame game. Make sure you drop your comments in there. Of course, we respond to all of them as we always do. As always, mash that subscribe button as we continue our climb to 700 and beyond. We'll see you all tomorrow. Go Pack.
Go Pack.